Andrew Whitworth from Prime Video on Amazon of Thursday Night Football, long-time Pro Bowler in the National Football League and a Walter Payton Man of the Year candidate. Great to see you, sir. Good to have you
thank you,
here.
brother. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, let's just jump straight into this because you told me a story that I have actually told a couple times since you told it to me when we sat on the NFL Network set talking about the top 10 players and revealed the top 100 final 10. TJ, this is for you, sir.
Oh, yes.
Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
You saw him. You went to Cowboys camp. You saw him do his thing. And then I want to talk about what he did afterwards with you. But tell me what you saw from Micah Parsons on that practice field in Oxnard, California, Andrew.
I think what's so refreshing about Mike, and I think we touched on this in the offseason, is just his passion for getting better. I mean, how much he talks about that 1%, about being different than everyone else. I think this week he talked about he wants to be one of the best in the Hall of Fame, not just in the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's really his mentality, and to watch him practice every rep, he is just destroying every play. It's almost to the point where, the coaches make jokes like, would it be better to not have him in there in plays, because just at least we could have like a productive football play and get to see if a play works or not, because he's jumping the counts, he's beating guys so early that some plays don't even get a chance to progress through their natural progression of a football snap. And so he's just wrecking shop, and he's excited, and you see it every play. There's just an energy that's different.
So they joke about it, or they actually did occasionally take him off
I think
the
they
field?
do. I mean, and I that's why I asked him that on our show, is that he's one of those guys. Aaron Donald was much the same way. That it's like sometimes you're like, hey, giving him a couple reps every now and then, or trying to get him off the field for a minute, kind of gives us a chance to see what other guys can do, and then also have just productive offensive plays that we want to get off. And so there's always going to be that battle when you're that good of a player and you're that dominant of, what people wanting to give you a little break, take you off the field some, for you and also for the team at times. But I think he's always going to battle, and he's one of those guys, man, competing is his thing, and that's all he wants to do.
Did you ever in a Rams practice go up to Aaron Donald and just say, hey, vet here, can you just dial it down a little bit because we need to work on a couple things here?
Honestly, here's the problem. AD is he's a absolute terror. He's a monster in a football game, but he's also a sweetheart. And it's really, honestly, Rich, what made me realize my career was coming to an end, because he was so gentle with me. If we ever ended up over each other, he didn't just annihilate me. He kind of just, slowly would move me back towards the quarterback, and then kind of, conveniently pull off a little bit. So he was very gentle with me, and I used to say he was intimidated by me. That's what it was. But I clearly know he didn't want to hurt me. That's what it was.
So why did you take that as an indication that Father Time was finally tapping you on the shoulder?
I looked like enough of an old man that he was like, you know what? I don't want to hurt Big Brother or Big Uncle or Grandpa. I think that's more closer to Grandpa. But I think he'd have felt bad hurting the old man, the old statesman.
And you see some of that in Micah Parsons when you're actually watching the Cowboys practice.
Yeah, unfortunately right now Micah's in that young mode of I'm destroying everybody. And so, I think those guys, I'm sure in the offensive line, don't really love having to go against him every day, just because he is that guy. Like, he is trying to compete to win every snap because he's young and he's got to prove himself.
And then what happened after practice?
Then he came up to me and, gave me a big hug and kind of, wanted me to kind of talk to some of the guys and stuff. And then I said, hey, you know what? I'm off tomorrow. What you doing? And I said, well, I live like 30 minutes from here. And he said, I'm coming over. So I said, all right, perfect. He's coming over. So I called him still on the way home, like, hey, babe, you know what? Mike is coming over tomorrow with us and the kids, and it's going to be a fun day.
And what can you want to share? What was going on? Like, what is Micah like when he's coming by the Whitworths? What is that like?
He was great, man. We hung out. Kids got in the pool, grilled out a little bit, and had some good food. But, I was telling last night, we have, our Amazon seminar going right now, and
yes,
the league officials and all that were there, and so we had a little dinner, and I was telling them, like, cool NFL moment, of just the family, the brotherhood that we are.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, who's 12, massive Taylor Swift fan, loves to sing. She's in a singing group, kind of brings it up at the dinner table, and he's like, I want to hear it. And she looks at me like, Dad, do I really have to sing right here in front of him? And I was like, you got to sing in front of Micah. This is pressure, babe. If you want to sing, you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Put it on my phone, play her a song. She sings in front of him. He stands up. She's standing at the kitchen island singing, and he's like doing his arms, dancing in front of her, like encouraging her. And I was just sitting there like, we're not documenting this, but like what a like an NFL family moment. Here's this young star who's at my house watching my daughter sing, encouraging her, cheering her on, smile on his face. It was just a cool moment.
Well, and in all seriousness, and this is not painting folks with a brush, but I mean, he's a young kid in Southern California on an off day.
Yeah.
And he's with the Whitworths hanging out at a dinner with kids and conducting, a little girl's singing of Taylor Swift. I mean, that's a choice, but it's wonderful that he's doing that. You know what I mean? Like some other guys might just say, screw it, I'm going into town and, I'll hoot with the Owls, but it's tough to soar with the Eagles, as Rod Woodson said. Yeah. He always heard from Chuck Noll. So how good do you think the Cowboys can be? Let's just put this right on the head.
Yeah, I think so. Andrew. You look at that division, it's going to be really tough. I mean, I think that, obviously the Giants have done things to get better. The Eagles are going to be really special again. I think the Commanders are going to be interesting as well.
Okay. Now, look, you have a very deep voice, but did you hear, was that a higher register from Andrew Whitworth?
It was. Right I think it's a mainstream.
Hold on. He just went there again.
It was a little higher.
Okay. So we here at the Rich Eisen Show say you've got to go higher register to believe something that you're saying, like, I got to look out for the Commanders, like that sort of. You didn't say that about the Eagles. You went like the Eagles are going to be good.
I kind of think that it's obvious the Eagles ought to be pretty good.
Okay,
but I think the Cowboys. Yeah, I look at it. You know what? Defensively, you got some young stars. They're getting better, and then offensively, hopefully you get Zach Martin back, and you still have a good offensive line and their health. And if Tyron Smith stays healthy, you know what? Dak Prescott's always played really well when he's had that guy in the lineup and had the safety and security of being able to play the quarterback position without getting hit. And he makes them that much better because then you move the young kid inside. So I think offensive line-wise, they're better. And I'm interested to see how Mike McCarthy takes over the reins and how this team looks differently offensively.
What's the question there? What's the question about that?
Well, I just think with Kellen Moore it was a little different, and I think that with Mike it's going to be a little more of an emphasis, I would imagine, of being a more physical team and a little bit of what their nature they've been better at probably. You know, when they were really dominant, that was who they were known as. You don't have Ezekiel Elliott anymore, but can they still be that style of football and really learn how to, I think when they're playing the Eagles, it can't always be an offensive shootout. They got to play defense, and they got to be able to control the ball some too. Okay,
and so what do you like about the Commanders where you went kind of like, you gave me that whole don't sleep on them higher register there.
I just think you got
you just did it again.
I did.
You just did it again.
Terry McLaurin, I mean, some of those guys, they got some special guys. And I think that anytime you're in a division like that where everybody's really good,
yes,
and you were kind of just forgot that you exist even in the division, I just think you may sneak up on some of these teams. And I think they're going to play them tighter than you think. You imagine, go back to last year, Washington and Philadelphia. I mean, so I think they're going to play these teams better than people think, and that's why I think it's interesting to me, and I get a higher pitch because I'm intrigued to see if they can be that team that kind of surprises in the division.
Well, it's a quarterback-driven league, so the question is Sam Howell going to be able to come in his first year and take advantage of the roster that you're touting here, Andrew Whitworth of Prime Video here on the Rich Eisen Show, and that's the concern. And then you heard Ron Rivera say, don't sleep on Jacoby Brissett. And it's just like, okay, that's the quarterback situation going in, and it makes you scratch your head. And again, you tell me this. You're a longtime veteran of this league, and you would know better than I would. If I'm judging a book by its cover, Mike Hoskins, our coordinating producer, can you call up the Sam Howell headshot for 2023? There it is.
That's confidence right there. I mean,
you see confidence there. I see sleepy. I see just rolling out of bed. Like, that's not. Is that elite? You know what I mean? Like, is that an elite quarterback?
I think he right there in that picture is. You know what? He's not worried about being pretty. He's worried about playing the position. That's what I see. I see confidence. All right, I'm selling myself right now.
That's right. Wow. That's right. That's a half. That's a half full glass of Sam Howell. Okay.
Terrible picture.
So you know what I mean? It's just
my voice level just went down a couple notches after that.
Commanders are out.
They're out. Okay. They're done now. No sneaking up on anybody.
Andrew Whitworth here on the Rich Eisen Show. You went to Rams camp as well, and the number of rookies that they have there Was it weird for you to go to a spot that you're so familiar with and seeing a bunch of people you don't know walking around there already just 2 years out of the game? Andrew?
It is. It's crazy. 36 rookies in camp. I mean, unbelievable to how young they are. But also, you know what? At times it's fun because going to their first couple practices, I mean, it sounds like a high school practice, like how loud they are. Every time somebody makes a play, the whole entire DB group,
yes,
all a bunch of youngsters are jumping all over the field. You'd think they just won a game, but if they break up a pass from Cooper Kupp or they knock down a Matthew Stafford long pass down the sideline to Tutu or Vance Johnson, it's like they throw a party, and so there's this infectious energy to being that young. That's also like cool for a team that's in a position where last year was bad days at work, right? I mean, it was a tough year for them. You get down on yourself, you get down on how you believe, but to have some of that young energy, I think, is a positive for them right now.
Okay, let's just jump right into it. What you're willing to share on the quarterback wide receiver combination that's there, starting with Kupp and his health and him pulling up with a hamstring, apparently on a red zone play last week in practice, and he's pretty much shut down. Is there any concern for him right now?
With Coop, it's really how much was he going to play that much in the preseason anyways?
Okay.
But, probably for him, it's like getting healthy. And then, I mean, this guy, who he is, how he works, how diligent he is, I think he's going to be prepared no matter what. It's just let's make sure this hamstring's ready to go week one. And so I think that's their only focus is really getting him healthy, less about the reps. I mean, everyone's seen their relationship, Stafford and Kupp, and they meet every single morning, early in the morning before anybody gets to work, and they're always going to be on the same page. So I'm not too worried about that situation. What's going to come down to this team is really less about who's been there. It's going to be more about there's going to be a lot of young faces that are taking snaps, a lot of snaps this season. And so do I think that they're going to be better than they were last year? No doubt. It's going to be, can they kind of overcome some of those rookie, young football team mistakes, and are they going to cost them in games at the end? Because we all know how close the league is, and those little mistakes usually end up being what kills you in a game.
Sure, and obviously this does appear as if it's the payment of the credit card in many ways of the picks being effed, and now the picks are now in, and it's hopefully time for these guys who the picks have now become humans to perform.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, Rich, look at outside rusher. 2 years from the Super Bowl team, there's not a single guy from the practice squad, the roster, the draft, anything left on that football team that I played with. Every single outside rusher is either a rookie or never played the position until this year. I mean, Michael Hoyt was a defensive tackle last year, and he's been moved to outside rusher. He is the only guy that's even from that roster. So it's pretty wild to see how much turnover there is at certain positions on that team.
And then the question about Matthew Stafford's health and what was last year. Was last year something that he truly needed to just be shut down, or he was shut down because it wasn't worth running the risk of making whatever he was overcoming worse? Does he have an idea like how long he wants to play? Is this a position in flux? Or is he just going to come back and just be the guy that we saw 2 years before? What can you tell us about his mindset coming into this season?
Yeah, I think this year he feels pretty good and is feeling back to normal, and he seems really competitive and locked in just from being around there. But I think people really don't understand because he is such a private guy and somebody who would never complain or even ever let you know when he's going through something. Last year was a really, really tough year. I mean, it's unfortunate he wasn't on the quarterback series that just came out, because it would have been crazy for people to see just how intense his arm issues and things that were bothering him. I mean, he's a private guy, but to not throw a football with your guys the entire offseason, basically, and then to get into camp and be like, hey, you can only throw so many balls a day and only so many times a week. To really have zero opportunities as a quarterback to throw passes to receivers and then walk into an NFL game and say, all right, I'm going to go out here and perform. One, that your arm is obviously not in a great place and how it's feeling, if that's the case. And then two, just having that ability to throw passes in practice and, work at your craft. I mean, that's what every quarterback does. You see him after practice constantly working on certain things. To not have that ability to do that, just the mental state he had to be in of struggling to like, hey, I want to go out here and perform. I want to live up to the expectations, but I'm just right now I'm in a situation I can't. So I think that year starting how it did, losing so many linemen, him getting crushed, week after week, I think it really led to, hey, we got to make the smartest decision of what's best for his health and for him to keep being the quarterback for the Rams in future years. And so I think now he's ready. He's locked in. He's excited to turn things around, and I'm excited for him.
So he is focused and is good. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Obviously, he's focused, but he is as into playing in the National Football League as ever.
As I've been, just like when he first came to us. I mean, he seems like Matthew right now. And so it's good to see. He seems happy and content and ready to roll.
So you were mentioning your daughter is a big Swiftie. Taylor Swift is currently in Los Angeles, California. Did you go?
I have not gone. I'm going Wednesday night.
You are?
I am.
The big finale.
I'm going.
Okay.
I'm going. Rich, listen, I told you this earlier. It's our Amazon seminar this week, meeting with the league and going over the season and all those things.
Yes,
so
sir.
last night at about 2 a.m. at the Shea Hotel, you know how these things go. We're sitting around. We end up hanging out, having some drinks after dinner, talking ball, and natural progression. In the city of L.A., everything is Swiftie. The hotel lobbies are bracelet-making stations. There's Taylor Swift music in every hotel and restaurant going on right now.
It's like a Super Bowl.
It's unbelievable.
It's transformed.
It really is. But natural progression in a night. Ryan Fitzpatrick and I were making friendship bracelets at 2 a.m. last night in the lobby. And I think it's one person who walked in the lobby who was not with us, just a good fan of the program, walked in and said, of all the things I thought I'd see in L.A. when I got here for the Taylor Swift concert, is you two making bracelets in the lobby of the Shea. But
at 2 in the morning, did you have one in your hand right there?
I made a Rich Eisen Show bracelet. So we are now officially friends.
Look at
Not
this.
that we weren't before, but
look at this.
It's now official.
It does actually say Rich Eisen Show on it. Dude.
Goodness.
If you knew how many times I dropped that bracelet and all those little things came off of it last night, these big fingers trying to tie it at 2 a.m.
Impressive.
I was very proud of it, I'll be honest with you.
Wow, well done.
Thank you. Very much appreciated. This is touching. I'm actually very touched by this.
You're welcome. It was special. It was a special moment.
All right. And Ryan Fitzpatrick just, made one for you? Is that
he made me one. He actually made Melissa one, my wife one, so I got to give it to her too. So
very good. Andrew Whitworth still here. He just gave me a friendship bracelet that he made at a bracelet-making spot at his hotel because Taylor Swift's in town. Words I never thought I'd say into a microphone.
That's it.
You are truly a man of the year. Look at this, Chris. There it is.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
And I got it from Andrew Whitworth.
Man, oh man.
I don't know if I'm going to take this off.
Get ready, Whit. It's a 3.5-hour show, apparently.
Yes, it is. Taylor Swift.
Locked in.
You're going on Wednesday night, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what's going on with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati? Is this several weeks stuff going to be over by week 1? Your fellow LSU Tiger, Jamar Chase, said he's telling Joe Burrow, we've got the first month. Take a 10-week break. The 6 weeks from his pulling up and the first 4 of the NFL season. What can you fill me in on this?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to him the day it happened, and Joe being who he is, man, he's just such an intense guy. He was like, man, it really did scare me at first, and I was like, man, I've actually been there. I had something similar happen to me in my career early in training camp, and calves are tough, man, just because it's one of those things, especially for somebody like him, like pushing off of it, being able to stabilize on it and stuff. It's something that can bother you a lot. So, I would see him probably saying, hey, there's probably a period of time, I'd imagine, with a calf that you're doing nothing on it just to let it heal a little bit. And then you start to work into, can you get strength back in it and mobility and all that? You're always stretching it and moving it. But, yeah, I don't know. The one thing I'll say for them, if you think of the last 2 seasons, how they've started, they haven't really been a team who's like jumped out there.
They were 0-2 last year, and everybody thought they were dead in the water.
Yeah, falling apart, right? And then the year before, it's not like they were that much better. They had some tough wins. They kicked a field goal or two, late in the game to win a couple games. It's not like they played great football in their first 4 weeks the last 2 years. So I think if any team has that confidence that, hey, once we win a game, we can go on a roll, it truly is them. So I don't see them. I think the best thing about their situation is, regardless if it's week 1 that he's ready, or maybe it is week 3 or 4 and it's into October, if there's any team that already has the confidence that we can make late season runs, it's them. And they have plenty of talent and ability to do it as well. So I don't think this is really a situation they're that concerned about. I think they obviously want Joe healthy, but I don't think they're that worried about what week it is that he's back.
Well, first of all, the good news is it wasn't an Achilles.
Man.
I saw that video, did you think it's
heart dropped? That's what I told. I actually reached out like, hey man, I just, at first I hadn't spoke to him yet, just more like, hey, just whatever's happened, like thinking about you, I'm there. Any way I could be there for you. And and then he's kind of shared like, I'm gonna be okay, but man, it was scary.
But the general,
he thought it too. I mean, that's what he thought too. He thought I'm done.
I mean, when he went down in a heap, we started texting the videos to everyone, honestly. And we were just saying that this is an Achilles, but it clearly is not. The question is what happens from here,
Well, and there's a lot of variance, like how severe of a strain is it? I mean, what level are we talking about? Because that can be a massive difference in how many weeks of a process.
But he's walking around on it now, right? I mean,
he's walking around, but taking off and pushing off that thing are two different things. So
yeah, if you're trying to get away from, say, Myles Garrett in week 1, that's a different story.
Exactly. So it'd be interesting, but like I said, I think that they don't feel that much pressure about that situation.
Okay. So who's your sleeper teams for this year? I want one in the AFC and the NFC, which means a team that didn't make the playoffs. It can't be the Jets because we're not sleeping on them. There's Hard Knocks tonight for crying. No, right. So
I think honestly, I don't know if I'd call it a sleeper as much as after his comments and really just how things have gone. I'm just so interested. Denver Broncos. It's like you want to see what happens. Like you jump out there. Sean Payton. He's made a lot of comments this summer that have caused some attention. Put it that way. But I think knowing him, there's always a rhyme or reason to something he's doing, and he's trying to fire up the troops a little bit. And so I'll be interested to see what this team looks like. He added some guys that you would say, hey, definitely his emphasis looks like to me he wants to run the football and throw play actions and get back to a little bit of what Russell Wilson was earlier in his career. And so I think that that's going to be their style, run the football well, try to throw it over people's heads and play great defense. And Sean's always been good at getting teams to play really physical and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see if that style works in that division, though, with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes.
Did you hear this quote about Gilligan hats? Did you hear about that one?
What's that?
Talking about preseason games, Sean Payton, what he wants to see from the Broncos in preseason games. When it comes to playing offense, he wants to get the line of scrimmage with plenty of time on the play clock because that was an issue last year with clock management. But then he eventually, that's understandable. He then says, it's probably just as easy to answer the question as to what I don't want to see. I don't want to see 10 guys on the field. I don't want to see uniforms off after we're done playing with sunglasses on and Gilligan hats on and interviews during the game. That's what I don't want to see, but we will communicate all of that.
He's just full Bill Parcells now. He's just turning into the mentor. That's great. That's hilarious. All predictable. It's him. I mean, he just, he's always kind of like had a lot of influence from Bill, and I know, how much he means to him. So you can tell it's an old school style of, hey, this team needs
the hammer. This team needs the hammer.
That's what they need.
I think he has come up with that opinion.
He's going to see what that. I think that it doesn't mean he's always going to be that way.
Right.
I think what now he sees is like that's what this team needs right now, and that's who I'm going to be. And if he's going to do something like that, he's going all out.
So you think it will translate?
I think it'll be interesting because it's totally probably different than really what you see. Obviously, Andy Reid's a little old school too with the way they practice. They get after the Chiefs do, really. You wouldn't think that with how Mahomes and that team and Kelsey, but
they're flipping it behind the back and stuff like that.
But they're a physical football team and they practice that way. So I think he realizes that probably this Chiefs team is more physical than people give it credit for, and that we got to be just as physical, and that's going to be our edge. And I think when you come into a situation as a head coach, your first year, you're looking for what edge could I give this team and just make them confident in something. I don't know exactly what our best style or play style is going to be, but I want to find what our edge is. And it sounds like his edge is going to be, let's make it old school, let's make it a fight, and let's have a bunch of tough guys out on the football field playing that way.
Andrew Whitworth here on the Rich Eisen Show. The sleeper team in the NFC is...
I'll say it again. Sleeper's a tough word. Here's the thing. I want to see Seattle back it up. Last year, I think they surprised everybody.
Yep.
I think they've continued to draft really well. Those two young tackles are really special to watch. They're on offense. I thought both those guys played great last year. They've got a good schedule. It's going to be fun to see. Can Geno repeat it? Because to me, like, consistency is really that thing you want to see out of football teams. Like, hey, it's good to see them have this year where they surprised us last year. But how good are they actually? All right, now that teams aren't saying, we probably could beat this team. Seattle was legit last year. can they reproduce it again, and can they take the Niners? I mean, that's going to be the thing. The Rams obviously are down a little bit. The Cardinals are down. The Niners are definitely a dominant football team. But how good is the Seattle team? And they're really young, so it would be fun to see them have some success.
They got Gino a couple of new kids, Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Excited about him. He looks special.
Spectacular. And then if the kid can be healthy, Zach Charbonnet from here locally in your neck of the woods, Southern California, along with Kenneth Walker, again, if they're healthy, look out. And I don't believe DK Metcalf, ate his way through the offseason. I have a feeling he's just as in shape.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, when you look at those three receivers and the skill players they have, you got to get a little healthier at the running back position right now. But if they do, I mean, they've got a good young offensive line.
Right.
The problem for them is going to be D-line. They pretty inexperienced there and weren't as good as they probably wanted to be last year. So they're going to have to outscore people. But see them repeat and maybe get a little better. Shane Waldron was with us in L.A. and got a ton of respect for him. So I look forward to seeing what he has in store for the Seattle offense this year.
In the 90 ticks I have left, Brock Purdy's going to be the guy, right? I mean, that's the general sense of everything here.
Yeah, that's a football team that's scary, man. I think they're going to be really special. And adding Javon Hargrave this year, really studied him this offseason from the Eagles. And, man, what a special guy. The Eagles are going to miss him. He was special, and on this Niners D-line, it's almost unfair to think of him and Bosa and what they're going to be able to do to people from an interior rush standpoint and Nick Bosa on the edge. I mean, you think of almost when Von Miller and A.D. were teamed up with us in the Rams and the run those two had together. It's going to be similar with these two guys.
Okay, so are you choosing them to win the NFC?
I actually think they might get it done this year.
Okay.
They've been there enough times. They've knocked on the door. The injury bug seems to always be after them at the quarterback position. But if Brock Purdy stays healthy, I think this football team, when you really look at it top to bottom, is really special. And they're all kind of like peaking in the right spots that they need. Young receivers, young DBs. Yes. They got great lines on both sides. So I think this team is going to be really tough to beat.
Chiefs conference in the AFC then still?
Yeah, I'm still confident in the Chiefs. And mainly because Andy Reid has made an emphasis of we are going to continue to sign good offensive linemen and keep good people in front of Mahomes. I think it's a rare thing that you don't see as much is that when you see this dominant quarterbacks, it's really they almost go the other way and kind of take care of other positions. But he has said, look, we will pay guys up front to where when this guy, as special as he is, has time and protection, teams are in a lot of trouble.
Really appreciate you coming in, man. It was great hanging with you on the NFL 100 show, the top 10 reveal. Greatly appreciate it. You be well, sir.
I appreciate it,
everybody. Check out this man, Andrew Whitworth, on Prime Video, starting in just a few weeks' time on Amazon, right here on Roku. Still here on the Roku channel. So here's what I need from you on Wednesday night, because this is the way it's been doing in the NFL. Again, you do you, obviously, Andrew Whitworth, but in the NFL, I need a selfie video of you screaming a Taylor Swift song at the top of your lungs.
Okay, I got it.
Do you know which one it is? Is it "Cruel Summer"? What do we got? What's the Swiftie song, the go-to for Andrew Whitworth? What do you got?
The kids are kind of into all of them. It might be "Cool Summer." We'll see. I don't know.
Cruel Summer. It's "Cruel Summer." It's "Cruel Summer."
Cruel Summer. Sorry.
You got to get this right. If you're going to give me a friendship bracelet, you got to get your P's and Q's.
It's I'm kind of interested to see the set list. I want to know what all's on there because I might know some of the. If she throws
all of them.
Seriously, if she plays some
45 songs.
She's the female Springsteen, or Springsteen is the male Taylor Swift.
Yeah. I haven't been. I can't wait.
It's a long show.
She gets on again on at 8:20, off at like 11:55. I'm not kidding.
I'll be sleeping in the car on the way home.
Dude, you will be.
The kids, past my bedtime.
But the kids will be keeping you up because they'll still be screaming her lyrics at the top of the lungs. Okay, so again, you have the reach.
You got it.
So and what you got to do is you got to show the crowd, the stage out here, scream the lyrics, send it to @Rich Eisen Show, and we'll collaborate.
Done.
Thank you for my friendship bracelet.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Dude, you should see this. It's great. It looks like it was done at 2 a.m. as well. It's like, it's all right.
Yeah,
it's all good.
It's cool. It fell on the floor like 14 times trying to tie it. If you could imagine these hands trying to tie that little string, it was special.
Bless you, sir. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.